chapter 46, verse number 9 reads, "But when the people of the land shall come before the Lord in the solemn feast, he that entereth in by the way of the north gate to worship shall go out by the way of the south gate. And he that entereth by the way of the south gate shall go forth away by the north gate." In other words, what this is saying is that God doesn't want you to leave the same way that you came in. In our church services, when we come into the house of God, you may be broken, disgusted, you may be depressed, you may be oppressed, you may be all of these things, bound up. But when you leave the house of God or the presence of God, you're not to leave the same way that you did when you came in. When you leave the presence of God, you should be liberated and full of joy. Why? Because God doesn't want you to leave the same way that you came in. When you come in brokenhearted and down and depressed, you get in the presence of God, and one moment in the presence of God will change all of that, change your life, change your direction, change your heart, and then you'll leave the presence of God differently than you did when you walked in. No longer are you depressed. No longer are you shackled and chained by guilt. No longer are you broken down and beaten down and browbeaten down, but you are the head and not the tail. You're above and not beneath. Why? Because you've been in the presence of God. And God doesn't want you to leave the same way that you came in. He wants you to leave changed by His power, changed by His Spirit, changed by His glory, and changed by His anointing. And if you're not going to a church where all of those things can happen, then you need to find you a place that you can get liberated in the presence of God. Because God doesn't want you to stay in your state of affliction. He doesn't want you to stay in that state of depression. He wants to bring you out. He wants to make you changed by His Spirit, changed by His glory. Love you. God bless you in the love of the Lord.